Today we have a huge blog post about Season 2 and all the changes coming with Season 2 because there's a ton of them that'll make the game drastically different than it is currently. So global changes, crash and stability, they're going to go ahead and improve those things. Audio. Data suggests that some PC players may be experiencing audio issues due to discrepancies in the number of channels they are outputting. We've added an option to force PC to stereo output. UI. Number of UI updates are coming to Season 2 to improve the overall flow of in-game menus. These updates include improved navigation organization of camo menu, more polished social tab, new My Bundles screen, quick equip items from Battle Pass. That's solid if you like an item in the Battle Pass. Reticle previews in store and Gunsmith. That's a W. Improved clarity of attachment blocking logic in Gunsmith. All right, and this is one where like if you equip this one, you're not allowed to equip a suppressor type thing. It'll be clearer. And then more bug fixes. We've also recently introduced a fix that restored instant speed of recent players in menu because this was like backlogged. You couldn't report people if you ran into a cheater or somebody was racist or whatever. You couldn't find them on the recent list. Status refresh of friends, so that's good because sometimes it'll say they're offline so you can't invite them or whatever the case is. I know a lot of people dealing with that. Experience, improved after action report with audio, play again feature in Battle Royale, bug fixes for inconsistency between challenges, I'm guessing that's what they meant, Battle Pass and weapon progression. Weapon balance. Weapon balance is something we're analyzing. We're balancing weapons for Season 2, just like any other seasonal or mid-season update. Details on weapon balancing can be found in the upcoming patch notes. We're excited to discuss some of these changes to Armor Below that will make for more consistent engagements. For Battle Royale, Gulag 1v1 will be returning, so no more 2v2. With the change, players will see the return of the original Warzone overtime mechanic, the domination style flag, in place of the jailer, which makes sense. We've also made some logical changes to the Gulag experience. Ground loot has been revisited, as well as loadout players will spawn in with. We've updated the pool to include assault rifles, and this goes back to the quality of life changes we saw towards the end of Warzone, where they kind of chose specific weapons so that when you won your Gulag and you came back, you would actually come back with a proper gun. For those players leaving the arena victorious, the Gulag will grant a larger cash reward to players. This changed to cash. Oh, that's good. That's even different than we've ever had. Cash economy. In addition to the cash changes, the Gulag outlined above, we're balancing the Battle Royale economy with a slight reduction to cash rewards for completing contracts. Additionally, we're increasing the lowest value of cash piles around from ground loot to 800 and from cash registers to 500. Previously, the minimum was 100. So that's a significant 5 to 8 times. In addition to this, cash can be acquired via ground loot containers, white stronghold supply boxes throughout a Mazra, but can no longer be found in basic and legendary supply boxes. This should make for a quicker, more consistent gameplay in the pursuit of resources. Loot and inventory. As announced last week, we're shifting away from loot window menus to floating loot that will now drop out of your containers in the world, similarly supply boxes. This change is intended to improve the pace of the gameplay by minimizing time spent navigating the UI and getting players back into action faster. That is kind of going back to Warzone 1, but I think you're still going to have a backpack. Excited to see new backpack system give players the agency to customize their inventory, desired play style, or role within the squad. In our continued effort to balance engagements, medium-large backpacks will no longer be available, and eliminated players will drop loot onto the ground rather than loot-filled backpacks. Oh, they removed backpacks. So you do have your like regular, but you always have a small backpack. So it means you can't stow another weapon. Interesting. That is a huge change. So it's kind of like they didn't get rid of the backpack completely, but your inventory slots are pretty limited. So you're probably going to stock up mostly on plates, probably a stack of ammo, and just your regular streak. Interesting. Every player will have the same backpack throughout the entire game, which will subsequently reduce the impact of stacking medical supplies like self-revives, equipment, kill streaks. We'll continue to look for feedback and provide updates that streamline the looting experience for everyone. That is kind of an interesting change. I think that one's going to have mixed reviews. Loadouts have always been a core part of Warzone's Battle Royale, despite what some people think, that this should be like every other Battle Royale. It should be like Warzone's Battle Royale, but that's another story. Something we pay close attention to, the changes players have seen with the launch of Warzone 2 and since then have ultimately been in pursuit of the most fulfilling experience for the individual and the team, all while keeping things challenging. As such, we're making further changes to how players acquire part of the entirety of their loadouts. Season 2 will introduce customizable perk packages. Oh man, that could be OP. but it's interesting to see. This feature will launch with a slightly reduced pool of available perks, which we may slowly reintroduce over time. We want to navigate this particular feature as careful as possible. That's good. They're going to restrict it heavily, ensuring that all players' available perks provide ample utility and remain viable balance options. And hopefully they buff some of them. Like I mentioned before, scavengers should be fully loaded. Primary weapons will continue to be available at buy stations, but now at a more affordable price point so that players can pursue victory with their most desired weapons. We also remain happy with the introduction of loadout markers. Though we have taken a careful look at the price point, the price of loadout markers has been slightly reduced so that respective squad sizes can acquire their full loadouts at a faster pace. In addition, on extremely rare occasions, players may find one while looting throughout Al-Mazrah, and that happened. That was super rare. I think I found a handful of those ever in Caldera. A second loadout public drop has been added, which is good. It's like Zone 5. Meanwhile, drops will now happen on the 1st and 5th circles. They basically went back to the original because that works, right? I get that people want something fresh and different, but when you make a sequel, like many other games, you build on top of what you had, and then it's like, cool, thanks for making this feel familiar, but changing it slightly, right? So we're going to get more additional changes. So 3-plate vest, we're continuing evaluating the pace of the combat engagements and have decided to make a change. All players will start with the 3-plate vest, less RNG. Varying sizes of vests will no longer exist in Battle Royale loot. This standardization will bring a more reliable feel to each engagement from the get-go. We'll continue looking at data about optimizing downtime and improving the ability to recover from a prior engagement. We have made an important tweak to the movement that should yield better outcomes for players in combat. Starting with Season 2, players will be able to bust through doors while plating the way they would if they were sprinting. This change includes a slight increase to movement speed, not broken, for while you're plating to enable players to get to cover faster in the moment of need. In order to make buy stations and their goods easier to access, spawns will be static across the map and loadout drop markers have unlimited stock at all stations. As always, we'll continue to monitor the global balance of the economy. They're going to make all these tweaks. Strongholds, wonder what's going to happen with this. Strongholds provide an alternative gameplay experience with high payoff for those willing to tackle the objective and others interested in robbing players of their rewards. We're committed to providing a balanced engagement for players who choose to enter strongholds. Season 2 will bring changes to the reward players receive from the strongholds and black site completion, as well as additional adjustments to AI. So obviously we get the UAV pulse, which is probably the most valuable thing since the cost of your loadouts are affordable. Good change. So DMZ, they're going to have some enemy tuning. The AI in DMZ were challenging, but the ramp up of difficulty was often steep, with some players getting overwhelmed. With Season 2, we've introduced a number of balance changes to adjust the types of AI, spawning, the number of AI spawning, and the accuracy of AI at range, and much more. Spawn points. We've tuning some of the infill points across Al-Mazrah for improved early match experience based on gameplay data. Starting at a point at which your team feels isolated or without loot or contract opportunity is not the best experience. I don't know if you guys saw the tournament I was in with DMZ. We literally spawned at the same location like 6 matches in a row. So they got some SBMM spawning for that. I don't know. Mission difficulty tuning data and feedback reinforced that the faction mission difficulty ramp was too aggressive for many players. Yes, it's like tier 3 is good, and then all of a sudden, holy, some of these challenges. And that made demanding scale ultimately made it very challenging to unlock the second insured slot, completing all tier 3. In Season 1, we have adjusted the overall scaling of difficulty and mission tier progression. Later missions will be quite challenging, even for the experienced operator, but we believe more straightforward access to additional slot will provide a better path forward. Yes, get your feet wet, get them going. Crashes. We know crashes is especially impactful in DMZ. If you lose your items, contraband as a result of addressing the crash in the prior season, we're committed to increased stability. Stay tuned for more specifics. Seasonal refresh. All new missions are coming to Season 2, including a refresh of your current faction mission progress and an inventory contraband and key reset. We will be detailing all the need to... What the heck is that? Are we going to get like a wipe like Tarkov? Interesting. With the new exclusion zone coming to Warzone Season 2, this is like where the chemist is. Players will have a third option to choose from deploying to DMZ. The faction mission refresh will provide new missions that send you across these destinations, including Building 21. We suggest you and your squad gear up for infiltration first. Multiplayer a bunch of that, including the return of Resurgence. The full Season 2 announcement blog were released on February 8th, a week before the patch. A lot of good changes. Let me know your thoughts. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.